Hello, React Native developers. I hope you are well. William here, recording from beautiful Zurich, Switzerland. In this video, I would like to show you a compelling example of GestureHandler, Reanimated, and Skia working together. This is the example we're going to look at. So a fun sticker app. I can move the picture around, zoom in, zoom out, and have the sticker, which I can rotate, also zoom in, zoom out, so you can compose your social media post as you would like to. And of course, since we're using Skia, I can zoom in. Things will never get rasterized. And a really fun example of taking advantage of the novelties of GestureHandler 2.0, taking advantage of Skia to have this really powerful canvas. We can apply filter. Here you see we take advantage of never rasterizing things. And Reanimated 2, enabling us to make the glue, the connection between the two. And in this video, I would like to focus on two things. First, you're not going to believe how small the implementation is. The whole example here is only a few lines of code. The funny thing is that if you are new to React Native, you're probably going to think, of course, that just works, it's no big deal. But if you are a veteran and been involved in Reanimated 1 and the previous version of the gesture handler, you know that these things used to be extremely complex to build. And I remember with Reanimated V1, we had to create some really insane tools to do matrix decomposition, things like this. But now it just works, and it's really fun. That being said, so this example relying on extremely elegant tooling, the second thing I would like to focus on is there are still some subtleties we need to take care of, some pitfalls we need to avoid, and that's what I would like to focus in the second part of the video. We're going to do this in 3 steps. The first step, we're going to simply treat the canvas as a regular view. We're going to add a pinch gesture, a pan gesture, a rotate gesture, and using Reanimated 2, GestureHandler 2, these things are fairly trivial to do, and this is going to be a lot of fun. The second part, we're going to add focal points to the pinch to zoom gesture and also to the rotate gesture, so things work as expected. And finally, once we have all the things in place, we're going to not use the canvas as a regular view that we're going to zoom in, zoom out, but we're going to apply the transformation directly within the canvas so things never get rasterized, whether it's a sticker or the picture. This is going to be a lot of fun, so let's jump right into it. We are into VS Code here, and I have a boilerplate project which you can download in the video description in case you want to follow along with this example. I am just displaying the picture into a Skia canvas, so not doing anything fancy yet. And I load the image of the rig and then the font we're going to use for the stickers here. And so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to wrap it into a gesture detector from GestureHandler version 2.0, add the pinch, pan, and rotate gesture. So we're going to add a gesture detector here. We're going to wrap the view into it. And of course, so we're going to apply an animated style around the canvas so we can zoom in, zoom out. So I'm going to wrap it into an animated view. Of course, this is just, we are doing it step by step. At the end, the canvas will not be modified as a regular view. We will do the modifications within the canvas, but this is step 1. And so we're going to apply an animated style. Let me maybe do this later. So let's do the gesture. And we're going to have a composition. So this is one of the nice novelties in GestureHandler 2.0 is that we can nicely compose gestures with one another. So I'm going to do gesture, and I'm going to do a race between pan, pinch, and rotate. Now we need to create each of these gestures. So I'm going to have pan is, so I guess I can do gesture.pan, pinch, and rotate. And I think is it called rotate? No, it's called rotation. Maybe I can call it rotation here as well. Now, and here we need to apply an animated style. We used to do, oh, we need to pan, we're going to create an animation value, translate X, translate Y. Oh, we need to pinch, we're going to create a scale animation values. So here, one of the novelty. So because the example we want to build is so complex, it's not going to work. It's not going to scale because we need to keep when you're going to rotate, zoom in, translate the picture. When you restart the gesture, you need to remember of the whole transformations you applied since the beginning. So if we were to keep all these animation values and keep a stack of memorize all the transformations sequentially that we've done, that's just not going to work. So we're going to use a very powerful construct. We're going to use a matrix. And in fact, when we do transform, translate X, and so on in React Native, these are just helper function to do matrix multiplication. So we're going to be able to save the whole transformation, the rotation, the translation, and so on, into a single value, which we are going to be able to offset. And you will see that to build such a complex gesture, it's an extremely simple and powerful tool. So I'm going to create a single animation value, which is called matrix, and which is going to contain all the transformations. And we can try to. So the math behind is really interesting. It's a really fun tool, and I will try to link to interesting resources on how it works, but also we can try to see it as a black box. We don't need to understand. We understand that it all the transformations, and we don't necessarily need to understand much more about how this value works. But I'm going to create a matrix, and it's going to be a use shared value. And of course, we have Redash that is going to help us with the matrix math. And here, so in React Native, the matrices can support 3D transformation. So we use a 4x4 matrix. So that's why it's called identity 4. And identity means if you multiply if you multiply a matrix with the identity matrix, the result will be the matrix won't be changed. And so this is good. And we're going to apply it to the animated style. So I'm going to create an animated style. And so we're going to do a transform as always, but here the difference is that we're going to use the matrix property and we're going to do matrix.value. And so let's see if it works. So pan, again, here we used to do offsets when the gesture ends, and when the gesture is active, we calculate the data based on the offset of when we were when it got started. Now GestureHandler version 2.0 does this for us, and so we can do on active, on change, and we get an event, and the event has change X, change Y, which is what we want. So now we do a matrix multiplication. So we're going to calculate for this change a matrix, and we're going to multiply it to the current matrix. And that should perform the correct transformation. So we're going to do matrix.value. We do multiply 4, so it means multiply a 4x4 matrix. So this function is provided by Redash of the original matrix, and we're going to create a new matrix from this event. And so matrix 4 is provided by Redash, and I think it's called translate. And so we have E change X, E change Y, and 0 for the Z-axis. Okay. You cannot change. Okay, I think I'm going to need to reload here. So you see, I can move it around nicely, perfect, and I didn't need to keep the offset. Let's do the same for the pinch and rotate gesture, so that should be quite fast. So pinch, rotation, so here it's going to be a scale matrix, and it's going to be, scale. So it's only one scale for X and Y, and for Z, we scale to 1. If you do 0, it's not going to work. So let me see. Looks good, and here it should be called rotation, and it's only 1. So here it should be called rotate Z. Oh, okay. So here it complains because in Redash we treat the matrix as a read-only array. So I can do something as unknown as number, but yeah, it's not very clean, but okay. So I can pinch. Oh, no, that didn't work. Scale. Ah, yes, of course. So scale. So same here, we use change Y, change X. So it should be scale change. And same here, rotation change. Let me reload. Okay, so I can rotate here nicely. I can zoom in, zoom out, translate. So perfect. And now, by default in React Native, the origin of transformation is the center of the view. And now when we want to pinch or rotate, we want to use the focal point when we start the gesture. So we can zoom in into particular places. Or same with the rotation, if you want to pivot on the corner of the picture, you will be able to do it. These nowadays are really, quite expected and common places in most advanced app. And yeah, so let's just do it. So we're gonna add, we need to do two things. So first, we're gonna keep an origin value, so we know where is the origin of the transformation when we start the gesture. So I'm gonna call it origin, and it's a use shared value, and it's gonna be a vector of 3 values. Of course, the z value, we will never use it, but just because we use a 4x4 matrix, we need here a vector 3, which is just, here you see a helper, it's just an array of these 3 values. And I have this matrix helper file. It has only 2 functions, this one. And so it just creates an array, and yeah. And this one, this concat, which takes a matrix, which takes the origin and a transformation expressed as like using the React Native API and transforms it into a 4x4 matrix. So this is what this function does from Redash. Transform origin is this function. And as I'm seeing it, so which transforms the origin, but you see here we're using a high level construct. In the end, these are slow, quote unquote, and we do 9 matrix multiplications behind the scene, even though we only need to do 3, right? So we can create 1 matrix out of it, 1 matrix out of it, and we do the multiplication 1, 2, 3. I might refactor this to be faster. And in Redash, we use arrays. For matrices, we might use typed arrays. They might be slightly faster. I'm not sure if it makes a big difference, but it's something here I would like to refactor. And also in Redash, maybe we can make things a little bit faster, but I have the origin. And you know how I said, now we don't need to keep the offset because we get the change, but now we need to keep the offset because we're going to keep the focal value. So when we apply the transformation with the origin, we want to keep really the value when the origin was recorded. So we need to keep the offset here. If not, that's not going to work. And this is one of the, I said I wanted to go over some of the pitfalls we need to avoid, and this is one of them. So we are going to need to keep the offset, and it's going to be an identity 4 matrix. And so let's start with the pinch. So when we start the pinch, we are going to keep the matrix value in the offset. So offset.value equals matrix.value. And we're going to save the origin. So origin.value is e.focal x, e.focal y, and z-axis is 0. Now, when we change, so I have this helper function called concat. So we concat to the offset, so offset.value, the following transformation, which is scale of scale change. On a scale, yeah. Not the scale change, not the delta, but the value since we started the gesture, which would be scale. And then here we can pass origin.value. And again, this is just a helper function to do the origin of transformation. So these are just matrix multiplications. So this is the helper transform this into a matrix, does the transformation origin, which as we saw is just a combination of matrix multiplications. Here we use a higher level construct to express it, but this is essentially 3 matrix multiplications, and we multiply it to this value. So let's have a look. So let's say I'm gonna want to pinch on the right side maybe. So yes, so it's not working. I was targeting the church, but it's not working. And it's not working because the default origin of transformation in React Native is the center of the view. So we need to, here we get the values based on the top left corner. So we need to change the origin of transformation, and which we're going to do here. So we're going to do translate. So we need to go to the top left corner, and we do it by translating on the x-axis by minus width divided by 2, on the y-axis by minus height divided by 2. Okay, we apply the transformation, and then we go back to where we were. So let me just copy paste this one. So it would be width divided by 2. And now I expect that this should work nicely. So let me maybe zoom on the truck. Yeah, you see, I can really pick where I want to zoom. And okay, nice. Okay, I have another bug, which is, again, like there are some subtleties we need to take care of. So the pinch to zoom works great. But of course, now when we translate, we want the translation to not be affected by the current transformation. Here, we just want to move. So let's say I put my finger on the truck. If I move, you see, I want the truck to follow my finger. But of course, here, since we apply it on the transformed image and not on the screen, it's not going to work. But I think, so we just need to apply the translation first. So I just change the order here, and this should work nicely. So for instance, like I'm putting my finger on the truck, and I'm moving the truck around. Really, really fun. Zoom pitching out. So you see, we need to, there are some things we need to look for. So now we can do the same with the rotation. It's exactly the same story. In fact, let me just copy paste it. And it's not called focal X, but anchor X. And then here it's a rotate. I mean, we can, yeah, it doesn't matter. And it's called rotation, okay. And I think, let's see with my sweaty fingers, but yes, it rotates nicely. So fun. Pinch, rotate, and let me try again the pivot point. Yeah, you see, I'm pivoting. So good. So this was step 2, right? So now, instead of zooming in into, so treating the canvas as a view, we're going to pass the matrix into Skia, make the connection between Reanimated 2 and Skia, zoom into the picture, and then we're going to be able to add our stickers. So I have an empty, we need to factorize the GestureHandler into one component called GestureHandler. So this one is empty, but we're going to copy paste everything into this component. And let me just up. So this one has no children. We close the GestureHandler. So we can remove it here. And yeah, let me just copy paste everything. We need these, oh. Okay. That looks good. So copy paste. And now I need to re-import everything. Bear with me 1 second. Use shared value, matrix. Or maybe should I just, that's going to be faster if I just do this. Maybe. Can remove. Okay. So that looks good. And here we have the width and height, which we're going to pass as a property. And then we have a property, which is going to be the Skia matrix. So the matrix we're going to apply to Skia, which is a different, so it's a 3x3 matrix, a different format than the one used in React Native. So I have my picture. And so we're going to create a Skia matrix for the picture. Should I call it picture? And here we are going to use value. So use value is an animated value for Skia. And it's going to be a matrix, but a Skia matrix, which is a 3x3 matrix. Now we can pass. No, okay, let's do. Now we have our gesture handler component, which we created. Is it? Yes, it's imported properly. It takes the Skia matrix as property, and it needs the dimensions also. So picture and then dimensions, and we have, I think, the picture dimensions here. Okay. Yeah. So let's go back into this component. So we have X, Y, Z with height from dimensions. And then what we can do here, because we want the gesture handler to overlay on top of the transform, we're going to do a pose, right? So we have our Canva and we're going to overlay many gesture handlers on top of it. So we need to do position absolute, left top with height. Of course, for our stickers here, it's 0, 0. But for stickers, it's going to be different default positions. Okay, so now if we try, nothing is going to happen because we are not modifying the picture. So we need to write into this picture matrix and pass it here as a parameter. So we're going to make the connection between gesture handler and Skia using the use shared value effect from Skia. We tell him to which value we need to react, and it's going to be the matrix value. And so here we have the Skia matrix. I can make the name even more explicit. So we can do Skia matrix, and you know how in Reanimated it's called dot value. In Skia we decided to call it dot current, and so we're going to do a Skia matrix, and we need to convert the 4x4 matrix to a 3x3. Redash provides you with a function to do it. We will support it out of the box in Skia, so matrix.current, dot value. So this kind of expression in the future, I think, will be less awkward to write. So now we are supposed to be writing nicely into the matrix. Let's check. So we're going to pass it here to the picture. So matrix. So we're going to add the matrix property. Here, Copilot inferred Skia matrix correctly, but it's an animated value. So it's going to be a Skia value of Skia matrix, which we pass here, in which we can apply to the group. So let's have a look. Here I can pinch, but you see the Canva is always the same size. So here I'm really like just transforming the element. I'm translating. Perfect. And so this means now that we can create one matrix per stickers. So I have a hello sticker and a location sticker. And I can add them to the components, so to the Canva. So I have hello sticker, and I can pass as a matrix the hello matrix. I can add a gesture handler for that sticker, and this is why we need the dimensions of the sticker. So it knows the default, the origin, or the starting position. So I think it's called hello sticker dimensions. And I have the location sticker. I pass the matrix. Yeah, looks good. We need to pass also the font for the text. And I can add a gesture handler. The matrix is location. That looks good. Yeah, so I have my little sticker. I can move them around, move the picture, zoom in, rotate, zoom in. And you can, and of course here, because we are using a Skia Canva, we can apply, filters, do all sorts of really fancy things, shaders, you name it, blurs, all sorts of also animated effects. And so yeah, a really, really fun example. And all in all, the implementation is very small. Guys, I hope you enjoyed these examples. We took advantage of the novelties in GestureHandler 2.0 to nicely compose complex gestures with one another. And you saw also this new change property that can enable you to not keep the offset of the transformation. We used it for translation, for pinch and rotate. We had to do the offset ourselves so we could take care of the focal point. With Reanimated 2, we now use the matrix transformation. Instead of applying all transformations separately like we used to do, we use one powerful concept to keep track in one single value of all the transformations we apply, and we can use it as an offset. And finally, we've made the connection to Skia, sending this matrix to Skia so we can apply it to the stickers without rasterizing the view. And I think this is a really fun example. We can dig into, applying more effects on top of it. And we're also certainly looking into making the bridge between Reanimated 2 and React Native Skia really good. And also while working on this example, so you saw these helper functions from Redash, I think there might be also some room for improvement there. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. We are working on something really cool for this summer. It's in the oven, so I am looking forward to talk to you soon. And until next time, happy hacking.